wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Musliadi. So in this video, I would like to give a informative speech. Before I started my speech, first of all, let us give praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has give us chances and health in our life. Salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us from Jahiliyah to Islamiyah. So in this video, I would like to give an information about COVID-19. We know that COVID-19 is a global pandemic in 2020. This disease, COVID-19, are caused by a virus called novel coronavirus. This virus is infecting human respiratory system that cause respiratory problems and even death. So, to know the infection of the virus, we need to check ourselves in a lab. But it has a lot of difficulties to get the result right away. So in these videos, I would like to talk about the difficulties that occurred in getting the result of COVID-19. So ladies and gentlemen, the question is, why is it so difficult to get the result of COVID-19? So to check the infection of coronavirus, the sample can be tested by two type of tests. The first one is rapid test and the second one is swab test. For rapid test, it can be done only 30 minutes, and the toolkit, you can buy it online for 6 to 11 million rupiah. And the toolkit might be available at RSUD-ZA, but it might prioritize only to those who has the symptom of coronavirus infection. Since you can buy it online, so shall we buy it? And I don't think will be worth it, because the rapid test is the type of test done by measuring the level of IgG and IgM. It is sort of antibody that develop when we infected by a virus, and this antibody is located in our blood. So when the result of this test shown as negative, we have to wait and to check ourselves again later in 7 to 10 days later after the first checking of the infection, because the antibody will be formed 7 days to 10 days after the infection of the virus. And even if the result shown as positive, it doesn't mean we have the coronavirus in our body. It could be other viruses that has the same symptoms, like dengue fever. So it's not worth it to buy the toolkit ourselves, because the result shown doesn't really shown as the infection of coronavirus. So the second test that can be done is swab test. For this swab test, we use droplet in our mouth or our throat. Because usually the virus, when it enters our body, it will attach itself in the back of our nostril or our mouth. So the sample is taken, the droplet is taken by a tool like cotton bud, and it will be contained in a tube and transferred to the lab of swab test lab. In this case, for Aceh, we used to send our sample to Jakarta, but we do we do not have to do that again because we already have the lab in Aceh. So the swab test is conducted by using two methods of test. The first one is PCR and the second one is genome sequencing or GS. PCR tests use reagent to find RNA of coronavirus. This test only take a day to get the result, but our government in healthcare field obligate rechecking the sample with GS or genome sequencing method. Genome sequencing is conducted to ensure the PCR test. Genome sequencing will take 3 to 4 days to get the result. But when we send the sample to Jakarta, our sample will not be tested right away because we have to wait to the other part of the country, the other part of Indonesia, because Aceh, the sample from Aceh is not the only sample that tested in Jakarta, and that is why it is very difficult to get the swab test on time. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard me that we used to send our sample to Jakarta, but now we do not have to do that anymore since we already have our own lab for swab test in Aceh. However, there are some problems faces in testing the sample for swab test. For example, the new PCR lab in Lambaru, Aceh Besar, only has limited stock of reagent. As you heard me before, reagent is used for the PCR testing. Until this point, there are only 80 reagents that are available in the lab in Lambaru. However, two of the stock has been used for checking for swab tests. So it leaves only 78 of the reagent stock there. But now our Aceh government, are still trying to find the distributor of this reagent stock and planning on using Unsyah PCR lab for testing coronavirus. And let us hope that our government plan will go as they're expected. So we have arrived in the end of my speech about the difficulties of getting the result of lab test of coronavirus. So in getting the lab test of coronavirus is rather difficult because there are some process that the sample need to go through. Furthermore, the limited amount of lab and the result of rapid test that doesn't really show the infection of coronavirus is the other reason why it is difficult to get the result of coronavirus test. But since now we have our own lab in Aceh for swab test, let us just hope that the lab can work properly and this global pandemic will end as quickly as possible. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.